General Sam Houston and his small army waited for Fannin for a week. On March 26, 1836, news of the disaster at Coleto Creek finally arrived at the Colorado. Fannin was not coming. Ever. The next day, March 27th, the Mexican garrison at La Bahia marched the captured men of James W. Fannin's command outside of the post on 3 separate roads. Then, they gunned them down in what became known as the Goliad massacre. The soldados had enforced the decree that declared American volunteers were piratas and worthy of death. By the time the smoke cleared in the fields around La Bahia, General Sam Houston and his army were already hurrying away to the east. Houston and his army reached the Brazos River on March 28th. The following day, they moved north along the banks of that wide stream. Behind him, San Felipe de Austin was burning. Houston left as little possible for the pursuing Mexicans to use. If all American immigrants were driven from Texas, as it appeared were the Mexican intentions, then whatever newcomers repopulated the place would have to start from nothing, just like Stephen F. Austin's original 300 settlers had done some 15 years before. Houston knew the pursuing Mexicans were closing in. General Jose de Urrea had cavalry probing for a crossing of the Broad River below Houston's army, and elements of General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna's command were circling upstream. The news of the slaughter of Fannin and his men reached Houston's army on March 30th. Surrender clearly was not an option for Texians. They must fight and win, or die in the contest. Houston moved his army to the west bank of a bend in the Brazos River, opposite the Jared Gross plantation, and settled in. If the enemy got too close, he would cross the river to safety. He had plenty of supplies, and foul weather had slowed down the Mexican advance. With the rains granting him a respite, Houston used his time wisely. For the next 2 weeks, he trained his army. His soldiers, their confidence growing, wondered when and where the army would at last turn and fight. Rumors swirled through camp. Was Houston retreating to Nacogdoches? Santa Anna believed he might be. Let the Texians run away. He and his officers would focus their efforts on rounding up the troublemakers of Tejas. Their list was easy. Most had signed their names to the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. The Texian retreat continued as Houston and his troops crossed the Brazos and continued heading east. On April 16th, the Texian army reached an intersection, a fork in the road. Left led to Nacogdoches, and right led toward the town of Harrisburg, where President David G. Burnett had moved the Texas government. The army took the road to the right. 2 days later, the Texians arrived on the north bank of Buffalo Bayou and saw smoke rising in columns across the stream. The Mexicans had beaten them to Harrisburg and had burned the town. The government of Texas was on the run. Only Houston and his command remained.